Hiya peoples of the interwebs, Happy New Year! So, with the new year, I was looking back at some of my older art and actually noticed some of my My Little Pony redesigns were desperately needing an update. It kinda surprises me that I was working on them 2 years ago, because it feels like it hasn't been nearly that long. My older redesigns were actually the videos that have done best on my channel, but they are definitely very outdated designs. Those designs were actually the second time I had redesigned the main 6, so it's going to be really interesting to see the improvement from 2021 to 2024 to now in 2026. I'll also be taking on a lot of the feedback I got on my last videos. I had a lot of people saying that I didn't actually change the designs all that much, so it was more of just drawing them on my style than a redesign. I'll be trying to strike more of a balance in between making the character really recognizable, while not just drawing them in my style, but you guys can let me know how that goes down below. I'll also be splitting up these videos into parts, both to match the old redesigns and to make sure the video isn't too long. Anyways, I hope you'll enjoy, and let's jump into these drawings. So we're starting things off with PinkiePie. PinkiePie is an extremely silly and chaotic kind of character. It's really important to her that her friends are having a good time, even when a situation might be rather stressful. Anyways, let's talk about some of the actual art here. I actually really struggled with her proportions at first. It's just been a while since I last drew ponies, and so I kind of had to relearn how to draw them. I originally tried to go for this very energetic, bouncy kind of pose, but I ended up changing my mind to do something just a bit more basic, half because I was struggling with the proportions, and also just to make the design a bit more readable. I would really like to do some more practice with drawing ponies in different poses and such, but that can be a later job. PinkiePie is actually one of those redesigns I'm still pretty happy with 2 years later. I just really like the gradient from pink to yellow in her hair, but this time I want to push her design a lot more. I just feel like the original design isn't as chaotic or detailed as it could be, and I can definitely do better now. For instance, one thing I've always wanted to do with Pinkie's design is to make her look kind of like a Shetland pony. They're typically smaller and fluffier looking than most ponies, and I couldn't tell you why, but I've always felt like that suited PinkiePie. Like, if you look back at her old redesigns, you'll notice that I did always make her legs a little bit fluffy, but it never quite came across how I wanted it to. So for this design, I wanted to really try to make her read Shetland pony, and I like to think I succeeded in that end. I also did end up keeping the lighter pink spot she had in her old design, as well as the fade from pink to more of a yellowy colour in her hair. They're things I've kind of kept from the first ever redesign I did of PinkiePie, and I don't intend to stop doing it now. Also, the sprinkles in her hair from her 2021 design are back. I think it fits with the more detailed design I'm kind of going with and helps add to the kind of chaos of her design. Talking about chaos, I added a lot more accessories in general this time. I think they make her design look a bit more busy, which kind of fits in more with the chaotic, silly, energetic kind of personality that she has. For instance, I gave her a necklace of party flags to kind of go with her party planner vibes, and pink and white striped socks to both break up the light pink a little bit more and bring the dark pink lower in the design instead of just being in her hair, and cause, well, I thought they looked cute. Also, adding all these accessories and other little bits helped me add a bunch more colour to her design. I mean, her name is PinkiePie, so it makes sense that she's super pink, but I definitely think that there's stuff we could do to make her less only pink. For instance, lots of her accessories are done with the blues and yellows that match her cutie mark, just to add more variety into the colour. Talking about accessories, I also gave her these kinds of bracelets. I definitely think she's the type of character that makes and collects friendship bracelets, so you may see that I give her one that has colours matching all the main 6. I just thought it was a cute little touch. Another thing I added this time was I gave her kind of clown style makeup, like her face is kind of covered in white face paint with little designs on the cheeks. I just really like how it looks. I think it's cute, and let's be real, PinkiePie is a little bit of a clown. That's pretty much it for the changes I have and haven't made to her design. If anything, I think I've gotten a lot better at things like line art and how I do my shading, but I suppose 2 years of improvement will do that to you. I do think I could have done a lot more when it came to showing her personality in the design. Both with her expression and her pose, I just think she looks a little bit flat. It works for showing off what the design is, but I definitely feel like I could have done better. But hey, that's just stuff I can work on in future redesigns if I ever do this again. I may have gone a bit ham with the shading in her hair. It just took me like ages to do. It was definitely one of the things I spent the most time doing. Except for, well, trying and failing to get the proportions right earlier in the drawing. Anyways, now that we're finally approaching the time and the speed paint where I actually start drawing this, let's talk about it. For these redesigns, the last change I'm really making is I'll be redesigning their cutie marks. This isn't something I've done before, so I have little to no practice in it, but I thought it would make this video a bit more fun because I hadn't done it before. Some will change a bit more than others, but with PinkiePie's I kept the balloons pretty similar. I just changed a couple of their shape, like I gave one a star and one a heart and made one pink just to go with everything else. But yeah, that's my PinkiePie redesign for this year. I hope you guys like it. I definitely think it's an improvement on the earlier designs. But with Pinkie out of the way, it's time to move on to the next pony. Now on to my Fluttershy redesign. Fluttershy is a pretty gentle, shy type of character who shows a lot of empathy for different people, especially animals. She has a lot of trouble dealing with conflict, which is honestly such a mood, but she can be quite brave when it comes to those she cares about being in danger. She mostly works caring for animals around Ponyville, both looking after them and rehabilitating the ones who get injured. She's definitely one of my redesigns that I've never been the most happy with just because I don't end up changing her much. I just really like her original design, so I really struggle on thinking of different ways to change it. I didn't struggle as much on Fluttershy's proportions as I did with PinkiePie. I'm slowly getting back into the swing of things and relearning how to do all their proportions, so that was nice. I used to draw her pose sitting a lot when I would do these redesigns, but I switched her to be standing for similar reasons I made PinkiePie's pose less bouncy. Just makes it easier to read and to see what's going on with the design. Honestly, the main change I made was kind of to do with her hair. I ended up putting it up in kind of a long ponytail, though in the first attempt I made her forehead massive, so I had to go back and fix it. I decided to make her hair quite loose in this big ponytail. I don't think she would do up her hair that tightly, but I thought it would be nice to keep it out of the way because she's got really long hair. I thought about doing something similar with her tail and tying it up so it was out of the way, but I kind of like how it drags along the floor a little bit, so I decided to keep it quite long. In previous designs, I've made her wings a little bit smaller than a normal Pegasus's wings would be, just because in the show she doesn't seem to fly all that often, or really like to fly. But this time I gave her decently sized wings that she could actually use to fly around to help the animals that are high up. In previous designs, I put a lot of sticks, flowers, and leaves in her hair. I like to imagine that she's gotten them from traipsing around the forest and such, but I've never really liked how they looked all that much, like looking back on them, so I didn't do that this time. I did sneak an angel again though, that's her little rabbit. I just think it's cute to have them both together, and he doesn't take that much time to do, so I can sneak him in. I kept her colours pretty much the same. I still loved me a yellow and pink colour scheme, and that wasn't really gonna change. I did add a bit of a light green, tealy kind of coloured bow to match her butterflies on her cutie mark, though you'll see later that I kind of removed the butterflies, but it itself is kind of shaped in a butterfly shape. Plus, I think the teal colours kind of go with the pink and yellow, and they just suit each other in a really nice way. I also gave her some lighter patterns on her fur. I just like how it breaks up the single tone of yellow just a little bit more. I actually originally went into this thinking about giving her deer-like patterns, like a fawn, like spots all over her back. But after attempting it, I didn't really like how it looked, so I just kind of went with simple patterns. I liked her base hair color, but I feel like in this redesign I accidentally made it like super saturated, which I'm not quite sure how I feel about. But I was really struggling with making it go back to being more pastel, so I just kind of left it. But hey, that's just things to work on in the future, I suppose. I am really happy with the rest of her design though. I like the darker patches on the wings. I just think it helps make the end feathers stand out a little bit more as well. And my gosh, do I want to touch and run my fingers through her tail. Her tail just looks so silky smooth. I want to touch it so badly. When it comes to redesigning Fluttershy's cutie mark, it's one of the ones that I changed the most out of all the ones I've done so far. I've never really understood why her cutie mark is like butterflies. Like, sure, she likes looking after animals and stuff, but why butterflies? I ended up changing it to be this kind of paw print kind of thing with more of a vet feel. I tried to add in butterflies to keep it matching the old design, and I definitely think it makes a lot more sense, to me at least, than her other cutie mark did. Anyway, that's my Fluttershy redesign. I didn't change it too much from like her basic form, but I definitely like it more than her old redesigns, and it's at least a little bit different now. I hope you all like how it looks though, and stay tuned for our next pony. So for the final pony of this video, I'll be doing Rarity. Rarity is a pretty glamorous and dramatic character who has a passion for beauty and elegance. She typically works as a fashion designer and runs her own boutique. Last time I did a Rarity redesign, I didn't change her all that much. It's mostly because I really like Rarity's design as it is, so I really struggle with coming up with new ways to change it, kind of like how I struggled with Fluttershy. At least this time it didn't take me too long to settle on what exactly I was doing. I know I wanted to have her in some kind of outfit because she runs a boutique and does all this fashion designing, though it always feels a little strange putting clothing on horses. Especially like human style clothing, but I really liked how she looked in this little turtleneck sweater I gave her. It kind of reminds me of dressing up like little dogs in jackets and stuff, so I think that's why I like it so much, but it's hard to say. Shape-wise, I kept her mane and tail about the same as it is in her like basic design. It is slightly different in just the fact that the curls aren't quite as tight, but the general shape is pretty much the same. I also gave her a little bit more fur on her hooves. I've been doing a thing with my other ones where I've been giving them a bit of fur, but I want the unicorns to have kind of longer, fluffier hooves. I just feel like they'd have longer fur. Anyway, when it comes to colouring, I think that's where I made the most changes to Rarity's design. I did originally start with colours that were pretty much picked straight from her basic form, but you'll see in a minute that these colours don't really stay. I did keep her body this kind of white tone. It's a little off for white, it's like slightly more blue, but for all intents and purposes it may as well be white. You can see I'm shading her sweater here, but the colour of the sweater doesn't stay either. I originally went with a really light pastel-y colour for the sweater. It will become the opposite in a minute. It becomes like black. You know, I'm sitting here talking about all these colours that I'm changing, and I definitely am not changing the colours, it looks the same. I didn't realise how far into this drawing I went before the colours changed. To be completely transparent, I did most of these drawings like before Christmas, just to put in perspective how long ago I had done these drawings. I've just been looking at like the final version for so long that I kind of forgot how long it actually took me to get to this where I wanted it to look. But trust me when I say her hair does not stay this kind of colour. Anyway, I'll be real, I think Rarity is one of my favourite redesigns that I've done of this batch so far. I just really like how her hair and stuff turn out. I think she looks so slay. There you go, you can see the colour change now. Anyway, I went with a more silvery tone for her hair, like I lightened it a lot, and I really like how it looks. It really gives more like of a diamond-y feel than her original design does, which I think goes with the gem-like cutie mark she has. Anyway, I just really like how she turned out. I think she turned out super pretty, so I'm kind of stoked with her design. I didn't really change her cutie mark that much. I could have turned it into something sewing themed, which I think would be thematically appropriate, but I kept it mostly the same. I just changed some of the sizes of the diamonds to make it a bit more varied. Anyways, that's my Rarity redesign, and I hope y'all like her. Alright, with that done, the first half of the redesigns for the main 6 are done. I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. There's still some improvements that can definitely be made, but overall I'm happy with them. I should be releasing the next half of the main 6 in the next few weeks or so, like 1 to 2 weeks, but we'll see how that all goes. But regardless, I hope you'll like these redesigns and stay tuned for more. I intend to do a few more characters outside of the main 6. So if you have anyone specific you want to see me do, let me know down in the comments. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Bye bye!